Hi, everybody. Welcome to this month's NeQter Town Hall. Welcome back from the long 3-day weekend. I hope you guys all had an amazing 3-day weekend and took advantage of the extra time you had off and did some wild, crazy, fun things. I'm sure I'll hear about it from you guys on all of our quarterly reviews. We're just going to give it a minute or two before we really kick things off. It's going to be a pretty standard town hall today, just kind of going over some things that we've recently gone over again today, and opening up the floor to all of you per usual, to ask any questions or look at anything specific that you guys would like to see. As always, I'm here with Patrick, who's going to be primarily running today's demo and today's town hall. Patrick, I will hand things off to you, my friend.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Nick. So yeah, hope everyone's doing well. We are on the cusp of an update. I was hoping that we would have it out for this town hall, but with the long weekend and everything, we're going to be looking to have the update out shortly. So I'll review what that looks like. We'll just do, since I see a lot of the usual suspects on today's call, we're going to do just a very quick run through of everything that's been happening over the past few months, a little bit of an outlook for what we've got coming up, and also just kind of what we've been up to. We recently had a local show in Newport, Rhode Island last week, the Synidia Innovation Days. So we'll get into that, and we'll just treat today as mostly a Q&A. Also can review different stuff in the platform if anyone has any questions or just wants to go over anything. So I'm just going to breeze through this this slideshow. It's gotten a few updates, but there's a lot of stuff that's been the same. So just going to breeze through all of that and look to get into kind of what we have coming down the pipe. So just as a rehash of 215.3, because there are quite a few, we have these every month, but there's still quite a few users who aren't taking advantage of some of the features that we've added in. I don't believe for anyone on this call we need to review this, but this just gets into the update that we had quite a while ago, where it was pretty much a heavy lift that we needed to undergo for moving to the latest and greatest version of Ubuntu that is sitting under the hood. So I'll just make my way through this. If anyone has any questions, of course, feel free to ping Nick or open up a support ticket. One of the biggest things that we still see being underutilized is just the reworked user permission system, where there's a lot better granularity in having read-only, read-write, and then of course admin for different levels of the tool, and you can break it down for specific tabs or areas of the tool set. For example, you can now provide read-only access to just the compliance tool, the compliance tab, or you can also, at the compliance tab level for different SSPs, you can assign access that way as well. So for smaller companies, it's probably not as useful as, say, a larger company who would have multiple people in there, multiple different roles, but everyone has this level of access control in the user permissions area. One of the things as well, just to reiterate, if you're on Windows 11, you're just going to want to make sure that you are on the latest version of the agent, agent 215. I believe it's 215.5 now, so I actually have to update this. If you have any questions on accessing the agent, because I know that, for example, the agent download link in the tool is something that we needed to update, which will be just double check is getting fixed in our newer version that we have coming out. So really just if you're on Windows 10, you're still good to go, but the newer agent supports Windows 11. For 2.15.5, just a very quick rehash of this, updating the main health dashboard and adjusting the RAM values so that you can get a better indication of your NeQter's health, whether it is a hardware appliance or a VM. Moving on. And we added those a couple more dashlets to the homepage dashboard, including the most recent results of your vulnerability scan. So last 7 days is going to show up as a pie chart on the homepage, as well as the network monitor for if you have any availability status monitors in the hosts area on any of your hosts that have an agent or hosts that you've added in. You can set up availability for that, and that is of course on the homepage now with that homepage refresh. Moving on. One of the biggest things that we've seen a lot of people using, and I like to highlight whenever I give demos, and I know Nick has been covering this on his quarterlies with their different clients, is the enhancements to the vulnerability data that we're pulling from the vulnerability scanner. Number one, the vulnerability scanner is a flyout in the host tabs now. So if you go to hosts, go to vulnerabilities, you can open up the vulnerability scanner and a flyout right there. We're taking all of that information and listing it out under the vulnerabilities tab within hosts, so you can tackle information that way, where if you wanted to look at the vulnerabilities across multiple hosts and see what hosts are in your inventory that are impacted, rather than relying on the list of hosts in the vulnerability scanner itself that lists out IPs or hopefully the host names. It's just a kind of a better workflow that you can accomplish by us having this vulnerability data with the hosts area now not being siloed in the vulnerability scanner tab. So just wanted to highlight that, and I can review that through the screen share as needed. Additionally, we also added in Veeam support by pulling in Veeam logs from the application and security areas of Windows event logs. So that is something that we support now, and we're going to look to expand additional tools that are recording their event logs in the application and security event logs of Windows. So this is under host configuration, under agents, where within the different groups, the Windows event logs area, you can select Veeam monitoring as a default. So that is an enhancement that we have that I've reviewed before, but just wanted to highlight. Moving on, lastly, we have Cisco Meraki cloud support now. So you can still pull individual streams of syslog from your different Cisco Meraki firewalls, but now we do tie in from a Cisco Meraki cloud or the dashboard API. So if you have any other types of assets like access points or whatever you have under that kind of that Cisco Meraki umbrella, we are able to pull those logs from that API. And we will be looking to expand our API integrations moving forward with some more similar to Cisco Meraki. And then lastly, because we have gotten some questions on this with the offline updater, we have this tied in now as well. So for 2.15.5 and forward, you can do offline updates if you have a NeQter siloed that's unable to connect externally to our updater. So outside of that, those are the new things, and then I'll get into some of the newer things that we're tying in, short term and long term. We have a new hardware platform, ASUS, So a lot of the newer customers are familiar with this. Some of our older customers are on Super Micro. So, we still have a lot of those out in the field, those super micro appliances. As we're renewing, as people are re-upping their subscriptions, I know Nick, his initiative on his end to just kind of have the conversation of getting new hardware, having longer, having longevity of systems. Because when we get into the 3 year of something being in the field, that's still fine. And obviously we still support it. As time goes on, however, it gets harder and harder to support, or sometimes it's just something is, nearing end of life or is starting to experience failures. That's kind of in the 5 year, 6 year timeline of hardware out in the field. So if you have any systems, usually we've been being proactive. We know who has some of that older hardware, but if you have any questions on what the new specs are, some of the new benefits, so some of them are listed here, such as hot swappable drives, expansion bays, and a dual power supply, and just actually a more robust supply chain. Super Micro, ever since COVID, has been hard to recover, which is one of the reasons that we switched, mostly due to supply chain issues and part availability. You can only having a warranty is only as good as being able to get parts to replace, which we were finding exceedingly difficult with Super Micro. So just wanted to highlight this again. The Asus hardware here. One thing on the warranty is it can be expanded to a 5 year, as well as we can add a keep your drives capability if you ever have to send something back. So what's cooking, what's in progress? One of the things that we're working on right now, so in our next update, we're going to have our compliance guide tie-in. So I'll be able to show you what that looks like on the webinar today. We have Red Hat support as well. So that's live now. And we're looking for just more and more people. We've tested it with a few companies, but we're just looking for more companies to test Red Hat support. So if anyone has Red Hat or flavors of Red Hat and would like to raise their hand and have us send you the agents to deploy, please let us know. I'll let Nick know or let us know on this call directly. And then additionally, this will not be out in our next update. I do not believe, I can double check, but shortly thereafter, we are tying in email only to start, but MFA support for our NeQter login. We were looking at Google Authenticator as well, but to start off, we will have that email only just to get that off the ground, and then we'll move from there. Something I didn't put on here that is kind of being built in behind the scenes is we are going to be transitioning, and this is not going to be, it's going to be visibly visible from a cosmetic standpoint. Some aspects of the tool are going to look a little bit different, but from everyone who's using NeQter, it's just going to be another update. We're actually going to be, and we're targeting end of year for this, but we're moving underlying NeQter from Elastic to OpenSearch. So that is just shifting kind of the fabric or the foundation of NeQter to a new but very similar platform. OpenSearch is based upon Elastic. It's just supported by different open source developers. So that's going to open up a buffet of additional things to add into NeQter a little bit more easily. It's going to allow greater support for things that we haven't been able to do previously, such as a more dynamic reporting system, more dynamic alerting and tasking system. So as we get closer to that, and defining those and having things to show. I will be highlighting those on the webinars as we proceed. One of the things as well is a complete rehaul of our authentication system. Again, from a user experience standpoint, a lot of things are going to be the same or improved, but it's really a massive lift on our end that we're working through. So that's just something that we're working on, just to give you a heads up on that. And I covered this last time, but I just want to re-highlight Jose, who we recently added to the team. I actually was able to go with Jose out to Navy Gold Coast last month, or actually the month before, the beginning of last month. So the summer's just been a blur. But Jose, we're adding more bench depth to our development team, adding more bandwidth and allowing us to get more things done. Jose is actually the one working on that MFA right now, and has been working on the policy tool alongside our other guy, who's been working on that, is Austin. So just wanted to give him a shout out again. If you guys have any questions on Jose, or I'm sure you might be talking to him as we come out with different features. Last week, just to kind of wrap up, last week we had a local show, the SNIDIA, or Southeast New England Defense Industry Alliance, which is based out of Rhode Island, focuses a lot on the Navy and Navy contracting, and coordinating the tri-state area, but also all of the Northeast, to mostly drawing attention to the submarine program for the Navy. But we were able to sponsor that. It's actually where we got our start all those years ago. So it was great to see everyone out there. Anyone who made the trip, I actually got to see the Secretary of the Navy, Carlos del Toro, who remembered me from last year. So that was pretty cool. A lot of good speaking engagements, a lot of good things that I learned from the show last week. And in terms of upcoming shows, there's a couple that we're looking at to sponsor and attend, but are also looking for ideas to end out the year. So if anyone has any shows that they've been to that you think would be worthwhile, or has a lot of good people, or has a lot of good companies, feel free to drop me a hint as I'm trying to round out the rest of 2023. So yeah, so no upcoming shows. That was kind of the plug there. So I will look to just highlight a little bit of that new compliance tool add-in that we have, but also just going to look to open up the floor now to any questions. So in the questions area, or just the general chat, if anyone has anything, please feel free to drop that in. So let me just pull up, and I'll just highlight quickly, and Nick, give me a heads up if there's any questions that I'm missing.
We just had 2 questions pop in. We will address the one that came. We'll do that in order, guys. So Kevin sent in a question first. He was saying, a while back we were discussing a potential library of community plugin style agents / community devices or operating system support. They were trying to think of ways they could expand NeQter device support, or perhaps expanding the testing or beta as well without adding to our support costs. Is that something that's still on our roadmap?
Yeah. So Kevin, I think and I'll admit it's maybe it's a delegation or bandwidth issue. That was something I had mentioned in terms of standing up a dedicated NeQter Discord server. That was something that I was looking to do, but I haven't been able to prioritize. So it might be something I hand off, or am able to get some time to stand that up. So that is something that we are still looking to do. Just as kind of having a more direct channel, or being able to something as well that we've been looking at, potentially having maybe quarterly or more frequently is kind of a similar to this webinar, but more of a meet the developers or direct a direct webinar with our team there. So yes, that is still on the roadmap. It's just unfortunately gotten um, uh, uh, there's been other things that have jumped the queue in terms of that. So yes, we are looking to have that, and we'll probably look to also have community support and maybe moderators from our customers. So anyone who wants to raise a hand and provide some help with that would be appreciated as well. So I know that's a non-answer. It's one of those hopeful things, but definitely by end of year, going to look to have that launched.
All right. And then we have one more question, Pat, from Jen, and another one that just came in from Dan. Jen was asking about whether or not we are still planning or have any updates on partnering with somebody to offer SOC as a service.
Yeah, so that is something that we there were some items that did get prioritized. That's another thing that we have been piloting that. Um, we have also been looking to continuously further. We've had to put some development behind that. There was we want to make sure, of course, when it comes to SOC, is that there's a stable stream of data from our systems, and so we've undergone testing and done different stress testing, and we've had to um, enhance those. How we're looking to do it is having an agent-based communication externally from appliances to that SOC provider. So that's been something that we have been working on, and we've recently been able to open up some new bandwidth to put some more attention to that. So that is we do have a partner identified for that for defense industrial based clients, a partner who is um, firmly in the CMMC sphere and has actually undergone a DIPACAC assessment for their infrastructure and all that good stuff. So as we get closer to that, I will come out with information on who that partner is and what that offering is going to look like. So yes, we are closer to that SOC offering. We've also undergone the business case and have looked at pricing. So we will have more information on that as the months come out, but we are approaching being able to launch that that service.
And then you have one more from Dan in regards to your mention about different events to attend, and he was wondering if you already attend CS2 in Denver. He was mentioning that we already have a presence at that event, but if not, it's definitely one that's worth checking out.
Yeah, so Dan, so we did go to the CS2 in the spring in DC, which was a great event. Personally, I wish they had come out with the timeline a little bit sooner on that, because I booked a personal a trip when they are going to be out in Denver, and then unfortunately our main guy Levi, who heads our business development, it's a Jewish holiday that falls upon. So I don't think that we'll be able to get a presence from our team at CS2 Denver in early October, but we'll look to hopefully catch it again in the spring whenever they announce where that CS2 is going to be. It has been tough. Hopefully, as we round out the year, there will be some more information with the CMMC and its timeline. But because it's been in rulemaking and it's working its way through that bureaucratic process, we haven't had any new news. So, but yeah, that's a great show. Honestly, it's such a great show. It kind of spoils other shows because of how well it is put on by the team over at Summit 7. But yeah, I appreciate that shout out. And yeah, we try to have a presence at those shows. And I think I see a question or just another comment from Kevin is, yeah, if you've if you volunteered, you may regret it, but we appreciate that. Um, so as I have up on the screen here, just wanted to cover quickly, and I believe I shared this. Yeah, one thing, one last thing with Kevin there is that, yeah, NDIA New England is great. I'm actually helping the NDIA team with sponsorship for the show next year. So hoping to get some recurring people and get some new people in there. And CS2 may make its way to a familiar Eastern Seaboard city. I think that's the rumor for spring. So we'll see how that pans out. But up on the screen here, I just wanted to cover quickly what we've added with that new area. So as everyone hopefully knows, with the CMMC compliance guide or NIST/CMMC compliance guide, it's in our doc site, which is in the documentation flyout here. But we've also added it into the tool. So that is this update, which will hopefully be out next week, if not week after. So what this is going to be is NeQter guidance right here. We have the direct statements from the compliance guide, where if you already have an established system security plan, you can just take this and copy to clipboard and paste it in right here. If you're creating a new system security plan, so I'll just make one right here, just label it example. And right here at the bottom, you're going to still have the radial buttons to toggle between, but you're going to be able to select this guidance, include NeQter compliance guidance responses, and it's going to drop in those statements that we have in the compliance guide. We do have a disclaimer where we're inferring best practices, but having those statements in there isn't going to make you ironclad. You're going to need to still do the work surrounding those elements that we do support. But checking that box, creating the SSP is going to when you create an SSP, you can modify access to who gains access. Admins get access by default, and it's going to line everything up. It's going to mark everything as needs review, and as we go into the assessment objective here, it's going to have a disclaimer saying this has been imported from the guidance, and then a break. So that's what it's going to look like when you create a plan from scratch. And then if you already have an existing plan, you can copy to clipboard each individual one and drop that in the description of implementation area. So that's what that enhancement looks like that we've been talking about. And then as we move forward, we're going to look to, with that new reporting system, hopefully generate some automated proofs and other elements from the tool, from things that you're doing. For example, if you have recurring vulnerability scans, our goal is going to be to have that drop in as an artifact, as a proof point. So that's what we're working towards, slowly and surely. But that is what this newest enhancement looks like in the compliance tool. So we have quite a bit of time left, but obviously don't want to steal up anyone's time. But any other questions, or it could be anything in the tool that I could cover today, whether it's the SIM or the inventory or the vulnerability scanner. One thing that I ashamed to admit, because I just I hadn't noticed, but one thing I like to highlight within the vulnerability scanner itself is a delta comparison report. And so as you go to each scan, you're going to be able to compare the current scan versus the last scan. And I realized because you can schedule those reports to get sent to an email, you can actually select that Delta scan as an email. So at the as the scan runs, when it concludes, shoots over an email of just the Delta scan, so you can see changes to and from. So that's just something that I'm always learning about our tool, using it more and more, was just something that I had overlooked, and just wanted to kind of call that out. So you learn something new every day when it comes to NeQter. So, and this is what I'm talking about with the Delta report, which can be downloaded in a nice PDF format. But yeah, have any other questions, Nick, that have come up?
No other questions at this time, Pat.
Okay. And also, because I think someone had commented that they were behind on presentations. Just as a reminder, these are all recorded and are uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you've missed anything or were unable to attend a certain one, they're on the first Tuesday of every month, but they're all recorded and put up on our YouTube. So if you have missed anything, it will be up there. And one thing I failed to mention, I was going to make a slide. I was going to make a slide on this, but it completely left our mind. Or my mind, is the fact that we do have a new and improved NeQter Labs website that we've went to great lengths and painstakingly rebuilt block by block. So if there's any need to review the website or see anything new, it's new and improved. It's got a lot of good information on here. We've completely refreshed all of our downloads, all of our information. As we come out with new things, we are going to dynamically update the site. So if there's a change to pricing, if there's a change to product, it will be reflected on this new website. And it's just overall performance has been a lot better. We've actually gotten a lot more attention, with this new website. So if anyone wants to go check it out, our old website was a bit of a bit of an eyesore, but this new one is the latest and greatest. It has our blog, and of course you can also come and reach out to us if you do have a question. The best channels of asking a question are through email. Of course, Nick is best point of contact from a customer success standpoint, and then opening up a ticket is it's great to do it through our doc site, through the form there. We will be reworking our chat agent to include separation of selecting if support request or general information and stuff like that. But anyone who has any questions or wants to review on, say, like our partner program or any partners that we work with, we are going to be continuously adding more and more companies that we work with to these pages. If you have any questions on finding a partner, reach out to me. If you're looking for any level of services and what have you. But yeah, we've just kind of completely reworked this. Anything when it comes to media, such as our LinkedIn or as I mentioned, our YouTube, we do have those videos now dynamically uploaded or showing up on the website here. So just wanted to give a shout out to that, just because it was a lot of a lot of suffering on our end, but well worth it with the payoff of the new site. So when it comes to, I just see one additional question from Kevin. In terms of ISO 27001 or 2, so one of the things that we're workshopping right now is we're actually looking at the compliance tab itself, the compliance tool itself. We are going to be looking at lifting that out and, well, not lifting that out. It will still be in the license. It will still be in the main product, but we're looking at offering it separately through online, so accessible anywhere. And we are going to be starting to block by block build out additional frameworks. The first one that gets the cut is going to be NIST CSF, but we're going to be going from there. So ISO 27001 and 2 support, PCI, the CIS controls, and we have quite a few in the queue to start building out. So they're going to be showing up as additional frameworks that can be selected on those radio buttons that I had shown. Like we have NIST and CMMC in there right now, but we're going to be building out those additionally. So that's also, I guess, an item of discussion. As we get closer to that, I'll probably talk about that more on the next town hall, because we're doing some infrastructure things to get that off the ground. But if there's anyone who would want that either as an augmentation to their current licensing, where they would rather have that more centrally located rather than on their NeQter license directly, having that separate compliance tool, also probably need to come up with a name for that. But we're going to look at having that separately licensed. So if you'd like to pair it, or if you have any other companies or friends that you think would gain value from that tool specifically, and maybe not the full stack, the SIM, the inventory, the vulnerability scanner, if just the compliance tool has value, please let us know and reach out. Or even if you'd like to check it out, see what that looks like separately, we can look at that as well. In terms of those different frameworks, those will get listed out in the license as it shows up now. So yeah, so we still need to figure out what we want to do in terms of evidence and artifacts, if there was that that separate kind of cloud hosted policy tool. Otherwise, it will still be hosted or located within the same NeQter license. So those are some things that we're working on, that we're workshopping. So as that more information comes out, we will let you know about that. Anything else that you can think of, Nick, before we wrap up today?
No, nothing else I can think of. As long as you saw Kevin's nice comments onto what you were just talking about in the questions portion of our webinar, I think we are good to go from my end personally.
Yeah, I think just we'll look to wrap up. But appreciate everyone for attending. I see some new faces, see some usual suspects. Again, this was all recorded. Will be listed up on our YouTube for your additional viewing pleasure. And again, hope everyone had a great weekend. And we'll look to circle back around beginning of next month, hopefully with a new update, new information to discuss, and we'll look to answer any and all questions that come up in the meantime. So everyone have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and we'll look to talk next time in October.
Yeah, bye everybody. Thank you again. Like Patrick said, we will talk to you guys in October. In between now and then, as always, if anybody has any questions or anything they would like to discuss with us, and we don't have a quarterly meeting scheduled, please reach out to me at any time, phone call, email, whatever is convenient, and I will, discuss whatever you'd like with you.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.